Hey everyone, welcome back. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a brand new story to share with you, so let's begin. It was a hammer blow to my upper left chest. I clutched at it with my right hand. The ATC slowed rapidly, pitching me forward against the force of the blow, but not enough to keep me from flying off the bike. I landed on my back. The pain was excruciating. Heart attack? No, the hand clutching my chest felt sticky, hot, wetness, blood. I had been shot. I lay in a slight depression. The ATC idled quietly 20 feet away. I raised my head a little, but it dropped back in the dirt from the pain. I felt a lot of blood. I gritted my teeth and twisted to pull my little day pack around to where I could reach it. I put my hand inside and felt around until I found the clean, dry t-shirt. I pulled it out, then I found my knife and cut off a sleeve. I shoved a small wad of the sleeve in the hole in my chest. Damn, that hurt. I half cut and then ripped a strip from around the bottom of the shirt. It was a struggle, but I fastened a wad of the sleeve over the entrance hole, using the strip from the bottom to hold it in place. I looked to the south and saw the clouds boiling up. I could hear the rumbling getting louder and louder. It would be on me soon. That might save me. The shooter had to be waiting for another shot. The only place he could be was about 200 or 300 yards in front of me. There was a cypress hammock there that would hide 100 men. I needed to hide, but I was on mostly flat land. No cover, none. And he was good. He had just missed a heart shot on a target, moving about 10 meters an hour from a couple hundred yards. Good. I didn't want him to have another shot. A few raindrops hit near me. I heard an engine start from over behind the cypress. I heard an ATV move slowly off, staying out of sight behind the cypress. I crawled to my Honda and pulled myself up on the seat. It was raining harder now. I could see the trees and brush along the road on the north perimeter of the ranch. I could no longer see the cypress hammock. I pressed on the thumb throttle of the Honda, and we moved off to the north. I felt myself getting weaker as I neared the road. I looked for a break in the brush alongside the field ditch beside the road. I knew I couldn't get the ATC across the ditch and the guardrail beside the road. I hit an unseen bump that really got my attention. I thought I was going to pass out from the pain. I saw an opening and eased the ATC down into the ditch. There was only about a foot of water in the bottom. I turned and rode up the ditch for a bit until the bike was hidden. I slowly crawled up the side of the ditch and struggled over the guardrail. Now the rain was coming down like a cow pissing on a flat rock. I sat on the ground and leaned back against the metal guardrail. I had to rest a second. I felt warm and comfortable. I tried to turn onto my side, and I couldn't move. I opened my eyes and looked into the biggest blue eyes I had ever seen. The eyes were set in a very cute little face framed by golden braids. There was a delightful sprinkle of freckles across her little nose and rosy cheeks. She turned and ran. I heard her call out, "Mama, Aunt Peg, he's awake. Come see." I looked around and saw I was in a hospital room. There was an IV in each arm and a cannula blowing oxygen up my nose. Two older versions of the girl followed her in the room and looked down at me. "How are you feeling?" one of them asked. I thought I was seeing double, so I closed my eyes for a second. I popped them open, and there were still two of them. "Are you twins?" I asked. They laughed, and I noticed one had a tiny scar on her lip. Her eyes seemed to look right through me. I saw only her. She was truly beautiful, with long blonde hair in a ponytail, big blue eyes, and a sensational body. The other woman said, "I am Dr. Peggy Martin, and this is my sister, Pat Douglas, and her daughter, Sally. I am very pleased to meet all of you." Sally's lovely face, is a delightful sight to see when one awakens and is totally lost. Pat grinned at me. She thinks she owns you because she saw you sitting alongside the road and made me go back and check you out. I thought you were dead at first, but you still had a pulse. A passerby helped us get you in the back of my pickup, and we brought you here to my sister. I looked at Sally. Of course, I belong to this beautiful little lady. I owe her my life. No, Sally said, you belong to Mama. She gave you mouth to mouth and stopped your bleeding before we brought you here. I looked at Pat. I owe you then. I always pay my debts. Dr. Peggy smiled at me. We removed some small bullet fragments from your chest. You were darn lucky. The bullet hit the strap to your pack, where it was folded over 3 times, and broke it up some. It nicked your top rib, and there were 4 exit wounds and several pieces that stayed inside. We got them all out. You're going to be all right, but because it was a gunshot wound, I have to turn you over to the tender mercies of the law. This is my sister, Lieutenant Pat Douglas of the Sheriff's Department. I looked back to Pat. Am I under arrest? She grinned. Of course not, sir. We arrest the shooter, not the shot. I do need to question you when you feel up to it. No, we'll be fine, she added. She lifted a clipboard and asked my name. I am Hamilton Adams Murphy. I live on the Irish Glen Ranch. I know who you are now. You're Hamon Murphy. You own the ranch. Yes, ma'am. Please just call me Ham. Who shot you? Do you know? No, I have no idea. The only person who might want me dead would be my ex-wife. I don't see her doing it, unless she would profit from it in some way. I don't think she would shoot the gun, though. She would get someone else to do it. Well, we're going to transfer you to the county hospital in Arcadia, perhaps tomorrow. Please, let me stay here. I can pay. I'm afraid the fact that I'm alive will get out, and the killer will try and finish the job. Have you told anyone I am here? She asked. They looked at one another. No, no one knows you're here. Pat looked at Dr. Peggy. I think he's right. Can we keep him? I guess so. It won't be cheap, though. This is just a little country clinic. We can do it, though. Pat advised me I have to go to your ranch this afternoon. They filed a missing persons report on you. I'm going to investigate. Listen, my billfold is in the center drawer of my desk in my office. It's sitting on top of my 9mm pistol. Can you bring them to me? I would feel safer with them. I don't see why not. I will collect them as evidence and give them a receipt for them, said Pat. Everyone left, and Sally returned with some soup for me. She fed it to me like an expert. I was impressed and told her so. She smiled her wonderful smile and told me she wanted to be a doctor someday, like Aunt Peggy. She explained that her mother was a certified emergency medical technician, a registered nurse, and also a deputy. Wow, your mother is an amazing and beautiful woman. What does your father do? He died a long, long time ago. I don't remember him. I only know what Mama told me. She never talks about him anymore. Sally, can you keep a secret? Oh, yes, I love secrets. I think your mother is the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Now listen, you must promise to never tell her I said that. Okay. I won't tell. Promise. I think she is beautiful, too. And Peggy is beautiful, too. They are twins, aren't they? Yes, they are. And they love being twins. They're best friends, too. I think I would be more comfortable sitting up. Could you ask Aunt Peggy if it would be all right? 10 minutes later, I had several pillows behind my back and was feeling much better. Sally and I talked for hours. She was a very bright and perceptive girl, and I really enjoyed talking to her. She was going to be a real heartbreaker in a few years. She was a virtual doll. Aunt Peggy joined us later that afternoon. She looked around and said, "I never realized you had such a big place. I thought all of it was where the office is." "Peggy, it is spread all over the place. You guys sure keep quiet about that place. No one seems to know much about it." "Yes, it is spread out quite a bit. It spreads over 30 square miles. It's 19,200 acres. A pretty good-sized chunk of land. When I'm better, I would love to show you all of it. It's a very interesting ranch. At least, I like to think so." Pat smiled. "We would love to see the whole thing. Is the housing development down on the state road part of it?" "Yes, that's the workers' village." "Wow, that's a beautiful place with nice homes. Your ranch foreman seemed like a nice guy. He was very helpful and really concerned about you. He said you were too damn tough for anything serious to get you." That was close enough for me. He gave me the surveillance DVDs for the headquarters area. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. That TV over there takes DVDs. Let's look at them together. I may spot something you would miss. We watched until I was seen entering the office. I told Turk, the ranch foreman, I was going to ride my old three-wheeler up along the north part of the ranch to look for a site for an aquaculture farm. I wanted someplace close to a road and not usable for much else. I needed a couple of 100 acres. I pointed out the area I was going to be checking on a large map. Pat asked me if I noticed the man standing off to one side, who looked very interested in what I was saying. I told her he was a ranch hand, been with us for about 3 years. His name was Farrell Thompson, or Thomas, or something like that. We all just called him Farrell. I walked out of the picture and out the door. Farrell waited a few minutes, then furtively went to the big map of the ranch. He looked at it for a few seconds and then asked Turk if he could have the rest of the day off. He said he didn't feel well. Turk said there was no problem and told Farrell to call in the morning if he was still sick. Farrell went out the door. We watched that tape for a bit, then changed to the camera that covered the front of the building outside. After a while, I saw myself leaving and walking out of camera range. A while later, Farrell left and went to his truck, which was visible in the parking area. There was an ATV in the back of the truck. That was not unusual. Most of the hands had them. They used them like old-time cowboys used a horse. As I watched the rest of the footage, I didn't see anything suspicious. She turned and looked at me. "I think that Farrell has to be a suspect. He'd sure acted funny." "I have to agree with you, but why?" I asked. "I normally have very little contact with him. He really works for Turk, not me. I don't think I've ever even talked to him except to say hello." "I'll have him watched," Pat said. "I thought I saw a rifle in the back window of his truck." "Let's go back and look," I suggested. We rolled back to when he came out and saw him walk to his truck again. Pat said, "Wait. Look, he is talking on a cell phone, and look, there is a rifle in the back window. Gun rack." "Hey, Pat, girl, good eyes," I said. She gave him everything he needed except the motive. I reached over and patted her hand. She looked quickly at me and smiled. "I need to call my attorney and see if there's any way he or my ex could profit from my death," I said. "Hand me my little day pack." She did, and I pulled out my cell phone. Pat said, "It won't work here." "I know, but I don't remember his number. I have it programmed in the cell phone, and here it is. Would you dial it on that phone while I read it off?" She did. "Hi, Jack. It's Ham here. How are you?" "What if they are? Listen, buddy, don't tell anyone. Someone almost killed me. I want them to think I may be dead right now. Here's what I need you to do. Go over my divorce papers and see if there is any way Nancy could profit if I were killed." "I know, but just reread it and see, okay? I'll call you back in a little while. Okay. Wait then, half an hour. Thanks. I looked at Pat. His office is in his home. He can do it. She looked at me. Has to be Jack Yancey. He's good. I laughed. Do you know every attorney in the area? She smiled. You bet I do. I see all of them. Sooner or later, they all have to come through me to get papers served by a deputy in Dodo County. I patted her hand. Lucky guys. What? She asked. You heard me. Listen, here's your dinner. I'll be back later. Please don't leave me. I'll have a relapse and die. Ha, you're being silly. Am I? Can you meet with me? She looked at me for a long time and then smiled. Let me go see if I can beg a meal. The meatloaf does smell good. Pat and Sally both ended up eating with me. Dr. Peggy stopped by and changed my dressings, saying everything looked good. I called Jack back, and he was very upset. He told me what he found, and I was upset too. When he was through, I looked at Pat. We now have a motive. I looked at her. Jack said he never reread the complete divorce agreement carefully after he got it back from her. She had it for several days. She had signed it and had her signature notarized. He says someone inserted a clause saying that if I died unmarried, she would inherit everything. He added that on careful examination, the page with that insertion was printed on different paper than the rest. She has to be the one gunning for you. I'm sure glad you guys hid me. I think you saved my life again. I really belong to you now. Really? She smiled. I smile back. You are going to have a real hard time getting rid of me now. You're a really nice guy. I know. All I would have to do is ask, and you would be gone, right? Yes, you are right. Please don't ask. She leaned over and softly kissed my lips. Sleep tight now. I'll see you tomorrow. I lay there and thought of Nancy, my ex-wife. I had loved her and thought we had a perfect marriage for the first several years. Then our lovemaking dropped off. She was always either tired, had a headache, or had some other excuse. I started noticing that some things she said about her activities didn't really add up. Nothing was so far off I could put my finger on it, just a nagging suspicion lingering in my mind. Then I scheduled a trip to Guatemala to visit an aquaculture installation growing bullfrogs for frog legs. I asked Nancy to accompany me. She refused, saying she hated frogs and wasn't about to spend a week walking around looking at them. It seemed reasonable to me at the time. Now, I am not a totally stupid and foolish man. I knew she was very active on the internet on her own personal computer. About a week before I was due to leave, she went into town to have her hair done. She was always gone several hours. I had procured a new hard drive for her computer while she was gone. I copied her hard drive onto the new one, then I replaced the old one after I installed the hard drive in my computer. I called an old friend and had him connect to my computer and run a program that found all the passwords to her various files. It was a real revelation to read some of her emails. She was evidently having a very active sex life outside our marital bed. Her messages setting up these liaisons were evidently never erased and were kept as some sort of trophies. Follow-up discussions of the affairs were very graphic, and it was evident she had many partners who were well aware she was married. Her remarks about my sexual inadequacies were embarrassing and humbling. One of the partners was not given a name, just called Sugar. Her communications with him were very sexy, and she professed her deep love for him, swearing she would marry him when her problem was solved. The last few messages made it clear that she was planning a large party the weekend after I left on my planned trip. I cried with the hurt until I realized most of her descriptions of me were completely false. She evidently needed to have the blame for her cheating be my fault. She even said in several of her last emails that I had refused to let her go with me on my trip. Naturally, unknown to her, I canceled the trip. I left the ranch's plan and got a motel room nearby, staying out of sight until the weekend. I rented a pickup truck with tinted windows and found a spot where I was hidden and could monitor the people entering the house. By about 11 that night, there were about 20 people there. There had been no new arrivals for the last hour. I left my hiding place carrying my camera gear and slipped up to the house, going out to the back. There were sliding glass doors opening from the living room onto a small screened-in porch. I had to ease through the landscaping bushes that screened the porch from outside view. There was a full-blown fest in progress. People were screwing other people, or groups of people, here and there. I carefully set up my video camera beside a little clump of small palm trees. I was getting a great shot of everything going on in the large room. Nancy was the center of attention and was directing the action. She was yelling that she needed more of whatever she was getting and told the guys where she wanted them and how they were to be used. There was a naked guy wandering around with a large camera filming the whole thing. I wanted to get my hands on that film or tape. Thank God I had found her emails and had had several days to think about them and was prepared for this scene before me. Things in the fest seemed to be slowing down a bit around midnight. I walked in on the screened-in porch and stood in the open door to the house. I had my Smith & Wesson 9mm automatic pistol in one hand and a spare 14-round magazine in the other. I fired 2 rounds into the ceiling of the room. Dead silence followed. I yelled, "Everybody except Nancy, get up against that wall of the room. Shut up the damn screaming unless you want me to shut you up." I looked at the guy with the camera and told him to gently place it on the floor. Nancy just stared at me, then burst into tears. She started to get up. I snarled at her, "Stay on your back, waiting to get screwed, you witch." Listen up now. Each of you, in turn, starting from the left, go find your clothes and carry them back here. When you are dismissed, leave here as fast as you can. I don't want to have to hurt anyone, so please cooperate. Nancy tried to say something, and I told her to shut up. You've gotten these people in enough trouble. Don't make me hurt any of them. Keep your mouth shut. You have nothing I want to hear now or ever. When the first person, a woman who looked familiar, came back with her clothes in her arms, I told her to take her billfold from her purse, remove her driver's license, and place it on the floor in front of me. When she put it down, I glanced to see that it was her license. While I was looking down, I caught a movement from the people in front of me and looked up to see a guy lifting a lamp. I fired a shot that hit a few inches over his head, spraying him and several others with plaster. He dropped the lamp. I looked at him. That was a warning. I could have as easily killed you or just shot your balls off right now. I really don't care. You don't try and test me. I am the meanest and deadliest man you have ever seen. The woman ran out the door. I pointed to the next person, and he ran to get his things. He was back quickly. I know what to do now, I said. The line grew shorter rapidly. One man turned, looking back at me and seeing my pistol pointed directly between his eyes. I said, "Freeze." In case you don't believe me, watch those 3 wall lamps on the 3 different walls. I put the pistol in its holster on my side, drew all 3 lamps and shattered them. They fell. There were a lot of wide eyes. Now the cameraman came in with his clothes, dropped his license on the pile, then looked at his camera, then at me. I grinned and shook my head. When there were only 2 men left, I asked them if they were each driving a separate vehicle. They both nodded yes. I had them each get their clothes and contribute to the ID collection. When they were done, I told Nancy to get up on her feet. Thanks for listening, I said. This story isn't over yet, and things are about to get even more intense. Stay tuned for the next part to see what happens next.